Hey guys, Movie Junkie for Life here, and this is going to be my review of Passengers. Passengers is a movie about a group of, about 5,000 people, I think. They are on this space vessel heading to a new colony, and two of the passengers on said ship, their pods malfunction, and they end up waking up 90 years before they're supposed to. So it stars Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence and also Michael Sheen. And here's the thing. Passengers, I think what is happening here, because if you listen to what critics and stuff are saying, it's getting some good reviews, some bad, some mediocre. But I think I'm gonna blame the trailer for this one. The way the trailer is cut, the way this movie has been advertised, it's been lauded as this sci-fi fantasy action film with a little romance thrown in here, and it stars two wonderful actors, Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, two beautiful people who we wouldn't mind seeing within having a romantic type of thing. But if you look at the trailer, it looks like it's this big action packed adventure space movie. This is not what Passengers is in the slightest. It is not that. This is a romantic drama that happens to take place in space. I saw a review that described it like Titanic in space. If you have that clear in your head, you're gonna enjoy this movie a lot more. So let me break down what I really liked about this movie. The first half of this film really did it for me, and a lot of that praise has to fall on Chris Pratt's shoulder. Yes, he's this leading action guy now, but this is the first time I've really seen him in a movie where he had to stretch his acting muscles. And the first half of this movie, where he's the first one to awaken, and you see the stages he goes through of trying to get back to sleep, of trying to figure out what went wrong, trying to fix it, acceptance. It's like the stages of grief. And he does a phenomenal job of showing that, not just in the way he physically transforms as time goes by, but in his performance. I was blown away because I've never really seen this much of what Chris Pratt can do as an actor. And I give so much props to the director, whose name I have, Morten Tildum, who I've never seen his other movies. There's one called Headhunters, and there's the Initiation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch. I'm definitely going to check those out now because I really enjoyed what he did here in terms of letting these actors just show what they can do. And at the end of the day, it falls on their shoulders because Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence, and well, Martin Sheen doesn't have that much to do here. The two of them are carrying this film. It is them. We are on their journey. We're going through this stuff with them. There's not really that many other players that show up in this film. And the way they had to demonstrate what you would go through in a situation like that, they did fantastic jobs, and they worked really well off each other. The chemistry was very believable, and I enjoyed them immensely, especially Chris Pratt. The visuals in this movie are stunning. It's what I love to see. It like the movie Oblivion, that I happen to think is very underrated with Tom Cruise. It's almost like you get that 70s retro sci-fi vibe, that 2001 Space Odyssey thing going, but it's retro, but it's modern. That's the best way I could put it. I absolutely love the design of the Avalon, the ship that they were traveling on. I felt like it was something I hadn't seen before, mixed with stuff I had seen before. They do that so well in this movie. So you do get that retro Logan's Run 2001 vibe mixed in with everything that's happening, everything that's new. And I loved it a lot. Every time I saw something else about this ship, every time they introduced it to something new, I enjoyed it immensely. I think they did a wonderful job with the visuals and the music here as well. It's very good. It's never invasive, as I like to say, and it works really well with everything else that's happening here. Story wise, I was never bored. Let me say that first of all. I was never bored with this story because I wanted to see what would happen to these two people on this journey. And while the movie does flounder in the last half of it, especially, it where it starts to, I don't know, the mood of the film changes. It becomes more action packed and more, how should I say, it feels almost like a different type of film in the last half. I still enjoyed it, you know, I still wanted to see where they would end up. So story wise, this movie has difficulty figuring out exactly what it wants to be, because I think it's trying to please all audiences, the action crowd, the sci-fi crowd, as well as the romantic drama crowd. Sometimes those things worked really well together, and sometimes it didn't. It felt disjointed. It felt like it was, some scenes felt like they were forced together, so to speak. Like you would have a moment and then you would have a sci-fi thing would happen. So it didn't always mesh well together, these different genres, but I was never bored. I will say that. I thought the pacing was good and I was never bored. I also love the little nods to actual other movies. I'm not giving it away too much because it's in the trailer, but if you pay attention, there are nods to The Shining and Sleeping Beauty, of all things, in this movie. I would say Jennifer Lawrence's name is kind of a nod to Sleeping Beauty, and anything that happens with Martin Sheen and Chris Pratt, you definitely get The Shining there. Pay attention to The Room, you'll see what I mean. So I kind of dug that. You could see where the director drew some of his inspirations from. But like I said, this is not gonna be a movie for everybody, and I'm blaming this trailer, because at the end of the day, this trailer misrepresents what this movie is. And if they had been more forthright with it, I think more critics would have enjoyed the movie, because they would have understood what they were going in for. This is not a sci-fi action film, guys. This is not Guardians of the Galaxy. This is not that kind of movie. This movie is about two people and their journey in life. Not so much their journey to a space colony, but it's kind of one of those things where there's destiny and then there's a life that you create. And you have to decide which road you would take. It's that kind of film. So if you go into it and you're looking for sci-fi action, guys, I don't think you'll enjoy this movie as much as I did. So I would like to see this movie again. Now that I know exactly what it's about, I feel like it deserves a second viewing, just so that I could appreciate it on a different level. I was watching it and I didn't know where it was going. I was a little bit confused because, like I said, the trailer is quite misleading, but I enjoyed the performances. I think they did a wonderful job. The best way I could describe this movie is visually stunning, great acting, and a wonderful love story that happens to be shot on like a really expensive sci-fi background. You know, it's not something I've seen before, really. And I think honestly the closest thing I could compare it to is Oblivion, because in a sense Oblivion is also a love story, so on a sci-fi background. So that's gonna be it. For me, Passengers gets a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it overall. It's choppy. The story is not that good, but I think the performances and the visuals take this movie to a level that in the hands of lesser actors and maybe in the hands of a lesser director, this screenplay would not have been as good. It would have probably been terrible. But for me, everything considered, Passengers gets a 7 out of 10. So I hope you guys check it out and form your own opinions. If you have seen it, let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if it disappointed you. For me, it was my Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods was a movie that I went in expecting a straight up horror movie. Because of the way the trailer was represented, I had no idea it was more satire than anything else. So I sat there with this confused look on my face, not getting it and not enjoying the movie. And it's only after and I realized what it was supposed to be, I went back in, I watched it a second time, and I enjoyed it immensely. So I recommend, if maybe you've seen Passengers and you're like, this was nonsense, now that you know what it is, if you do appreciate the romantic genre in any way, check it out again with a fresh perspective, and maybe you might like it a little more. Who knows? So, Passengers, 7 out of 10. And that's going to be it for me, guys. I don't know if we have anything else new coming out before the end of the year. If not, all the best. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, guys. Till next time. Bye-bye.